I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, I'm delighted to introduce you to an imaginative and creative author. Her name is Judith Card, and she has written a heartwarming and insightful children's book. It is called The Frog, formerly known as Prince. This charming tale takes readers on a journey with a frog who faces an identity crisis, setting him on a path to discover his true self. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank our team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put her in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support writers like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her wonderful book. The links are below the interview. Judith, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
Great to see you, Logan. Thank you for having me.
Well, the first thing, my pleasure, the first thing that caught my eye about your book was the title. It's very, very creative because we all know the artist formerly known as Prince. This is The Frog, formerly known as Prince. And it's a cute, catchy title. And that's always, people say you can't judge a book by the title, but it's a good beginning. So I think a creative title goes a long way, that's for sure. Tell us a little bit about how you came up with this imaginative story.
Funny that you mentioned that about the artist formerly known as Prince, because my original inspiration was a stuffed purple frog
Okay.
that was very shiny with diamonds. And I have it right here. You could see that.
Very cool.
So I looked at this frog and I thought, it'd be fun to make a cape for that frog because it reminds me of Prince, the
Mm-hmm.
artist. And I thought, well, long before anyone was formerly known as Prince, such was the frog before he was kissed. I thought, well, that's kind of funny and ironic. Rattled that around in my brain a little bit. I talked to a couple of people and I realized that this was a story. It took, a few months of sleeping on it, and
Mm-hmm.
it gradually came to me what the story was about. So it actually did come from the title first.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I was onto something there, right? So
You
that's
were.
good. Good instincts on my part. Tell us, give the folks at home the overview of what the story's about.
The book tells a story about Frog, who is in the midst of an identity crisis. You find him at the beginning of the book jumping around. He can't figure out where he is or where he's been, and he's very confused. So he stops to ask people on the street and different
Mhm.
places. And he runs into a few interesting characters along the way and is given a task. He has to complete a princely challenge in order to find out who he truly was, and which of course he can imagine himself on his throne and with his subjects and all of this very grand imaginings that he has. I don't want to give away the ending, but there
Sure.
is a twist, and
Absolutely.
he learns a lot about his identity and about contentment and about being happy with what you have.
Wonderful. And how do you think this will empower children?
I think it's really great for kids to read, because especially if they're growing up in the kind of environment these days where there's bullying and social media, where they're not having very much confidence. I think that when you can identify with this very strong character, the frog, and see he's having struggles too, and that he can overcome them.
That's a totally empowering message, and it puts it in a manner that children can understand, that, oh, Frog has problems like that. I have had issues like this, that type of thing, and it helps children boost their self-esteem, their self-worth, and their understanding, I think. So I think that's a very, very great part of the story. Another great part of the story, of course, are the illustrations. Tell us a little bit about those.
I had written the book and was still going through some, editing process. And my folks had a friend named Madani Tom Knowles, who I had met on many occasions.
Mhm.
I knew he was an illustrator, and
Right?
my folks said that Madani was looking for a children's book to illustrate, and they suggested I contact him. And I did. And as Madani now says, it has been a match made in heaven. It has been very, very fun working with Madani. Madani worked for Warner Brothers, Disney, Hanna-Barbera Studios. He's got 35 years in the business. He won an Emmy working with Steven Spielberg on Freakazoid. He worked on the Flintstones, Pinky and the Brain. Anyways, I could go on. He's pretty amazing.
Hmm.
So it's very, very lucky to have worked with him. We actually worked very well together. And if I needed help editing, he would be there. if Madani needed some help on the spreads for the book as well, I'm a graphic artist and I could help go in and edit those. So we kind of both worked with each other on all parts of the book until we got it absolutely perfect and the way that we wanted it.
I'm Madani Tom Knowles, and I illustrated our book. And I would like to do a little drawing of the frog on a little chalk talk here. So these are the eyeballs of the frog. And he's kind of in a perplexed drawing here, where he's contemplating who he really is. So that's the theme of the book. So he's got his finger contemplating on his lip, thinking about, what the heck am I doing here? That, it's the expression. The eyes are the expression and window to the soul. So I just enjoy the expressions, drawing now. And so then I'm putting in the body here. All right. So this is his royal cape. And then this is his body here. And then down to his legs. So whatever any well-dressed frog prince is wearing, this beautiful purple fur-lined cape. I'll be getting to that in just a minute here. Okay, the jewels in the crown, yes. He's actually very perplexed. So here's a little color up for the jewels. Which is basically the drawing on the front cover of the book. We come to the page where he's in front of the toy store, which is the background that Judith has her background. And this is where the frog hits his head on a pole and goes bonk and knocks himself out and rolls in front of the toy store. And then a few pages later in the book, we come to where the frog he's dejected and he's just wandering down into the sunset, wondering where he's going to find his true self.
Wonderful. That's excellent. And now you're collaborating with somebody who's involved in a lot of different media. Have you envisioned the story maybe as a animated feature or some kind of series or something?
Sure. Yes, we have definitely imagined that and are thinking about doing maybe a short video. And we're also talking about doing another book together.
Great. And what would that book would involve, the frog or another story altogether?
I think that it would involve something totally different. Although we have also talked about doing a series about the frog as well. We'll just have to see what the future brings.
That's part of the fun of it. You create something and it kind of takes on a life of its own. You'll see what the audience wants, what the audience demands, the different manifestations of this story, whether it turns out to be an animated feature or who knows, even live action or some kind of CG creation. You never know. It's a terrific, terrific story. Have you had the opportunity to read it to any children?
Yes, we have. As a matter of fact, we had a wonderful book reading last year at Barnes and Noble when many people came, and it was so successful that we were asked to read the book twice because we had a second wave of people coming. And I also want to show you one more thing.
Sure.
My cousin made this frog.
Oh, wonderful.
Can you see it?
That looks like a companion piece for the book, for sure.
Isn't it
Excellent.
great?
Very, very cute. Very
Yes,
cute.
so we've definitely got the book out there and read it to children. And a friend of mine ordered the book for a teacher friend of hers who taught second grade. And I got a phone call from her saying that it was the most checked out book in the second grade.
Wonderful. That's excellent. That's quite a rave. That's better than a great review somewhere that the kids are checking
Yeah,
it out. So that's
I believe
perfect.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Now, the book appeals to children of young ages from 3 to 10, I believe, are your targeted ages, right?
Yes.
I also think it's great for a parent to read to the children because I think it will elicit good conversations, issues of bullying, issues of identity. I think those are all issues that sometimes might be tough for a child to have a conversation with his or her parent, but this could open up that dialogue, don't you think?
Absolutely. I think it's so hard nowadays to feel like you belong. There's so many different groups, and at school there's cliques and different things, and you're trying to keep up with everyone on social media. Even young children are exposed to social media. And it's just really great to know that, you know what, everything's just okay the way it is, and that we can be happy wherever we are.
Exactly, exactly. And how long did it take you to finally get the frog, formerly known as Prince, down as a story? Did it come to you suddenly and you just jotted it all down, or did you have to work on it for a while?
Well, I'll tell you, from start to finish, it took us 10 years.
Wow.
And yes, because I got the story very quickly. But then I found out when you're writing a children's book, it's very specific to the number of pages,
Hmm.
whether there's 28 or 32. There's industry standards. We had to lay it all out. And then you would find out that if you chose an illustration for certain text, that maybe it didn't flow into the next page. So it's quite a challenge that you don't have with just a textbook, planning the illustrations to match. And sometimes we would have to completely start from square one on a
Mm.
spread because it wasn't matching what the text was saying. And we wanted to make sure that with all of the pictures that it completely illustrated the story. It was a labor of love. Yes, that took us 10 years. And sometimes, the analogy about the frog in the pot, the boiling water and the
Hmm.
frog slowly. Yeah. Anyways, I wanted to always keep our motivation going forward because we would feel like that frog in the pot.
Yeah.
So we had to really push ourselves sometimes to get back on the treadmill and work it through and get it done. And we finally did it. And I'm so glad that we did because it really is a demonstration of how hard we worked.
Absolutely. And it's a demonstration of how much skill and talent you two have because it is a wonderful book. Judith Card's book is called The Frog, formerly known as Prince. It is a valuable tool in nurturing a sense of self-worth in young readers. It's a terrific tale. You'll love reading it to your children. Your children will love reading it to you. And I think it will elicit great and important conversations. Judith, before we leave you today, anything else you'd like the folks at home to know?
Logan, I really appreciate your having us, and thank you very much. And I hope you all enjoyed the book.
Well, I would just like to thank you, Logan, and all the folks at Atticus and Spotlight TV. I've had a wonderful experience, so thank you.
Well, thank you for being such a wonderful guest. We appreciate having you and you sharing your story and your insights and your fine work as well. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.